Welcome back, everyone, to the W Sports Podcast. We are live back at it again. Jimothy, Tubby, we're here. We are ready to bring you all the news and updates about the NBA draft, the NBA free agency, college football 25. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we're going to get to today, but Tubby, welcome back to the show, man. Let's get to it.
What is up? I'm ready to go.
It's ready to go. It's a good day. OU's got SEC everywhere on the school. It's good. It's good to see.
Yeah. Tomorrow, OU is officially an SEC school.
I know. It is weird. So not only tomorrow is OU officially an SEC school, but also tomorrow we will officially be able to say there's football next month that matters. I mean, we can say that starting next less than 6 hours. It's insane.
Yeah. 8 weeks away.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm so ready. I was watching ESPN yesterday morning, and they were talking about they're like, we're 8 weeks away, so we're going to go ahead and talk about some over under projection win wise. And the guy was talking about let's talk about the new teams, in new conferences, and they talked about Oregon, and he's like, yeah, I think Oregon could really make a run at it this year. And then they were talking about Oklahoma and Texas, and then that one guy, he's like, all right, out of all the new schools, you let me know which one's going to hit the under on the total projected win total. And he's like, it's the easiest bet in college football right now. Texas 10.5, that's absurd.
Let's go.
He's like, you got Michigan, you got Georgia, you got Oklahoma on that schedule. All they have to do is lose 2 of those games, and you hit the under. And then he's like, okay, let's talk about a team that's projected low that you think is going to go over their win total. He's like, well, we already talked about them too. Oklahoma, he said 7.5. That's criminal. He's like, they're already projected to win 5 of these games by double digits. He said all they have, and then he's like, then they've got 4 other games that are toss-ups. He's like,
that's true.
He's like, they could easily win 2 of those 4 games, and boom, there you go. He's like, well, we know one thing. You just made Texas fans really mad.
Oh, for sure. It doesn't really matter. D-Rich in the chat says it don't matter. Bama winning it all. Roll Tide. You know what? There's a good chance. It was as the most important or the best quarterback in all of SEC, and if that's the conference to beat right now, maybe they're right.
I mean, they might be. Kalen DeBoer. The thing for Alabama it's going to be is how well they transition from a new system from Kalen DeBoer, Nick Saban, over to Kalen DeBoer, especially even on the defense. I mean, he brought everything in. It's a whole new system, defense, offensive wise. So it'll be interesting, especially see how Milroe is able to incorporate, because he's not quite the same quarterback that Michael Penix was. So
for sure,
it'll be interesting to see if they're able to build that offense around him more.
Yeah, no, I mean, time is going to tell, but the good news is time is not going to take that long to get here. 8 weeks till it starts. I would like to know, and then over-under, does it include playoff? Like if they make the playoff, or does it include a bowl win, or is it just
regular season?
No SEC championship game. Well, then, take the under. 2 losses, take it. Yeah. I'm you know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, 2 losses, Texas makes sense.
Yeah, he's like, it's the easiest bet right now. He said 10.5. He's like, we're talking about a team, a coach at Sarkisian, where he has coached these guys, and a lot of times they don't show up in even the small games. He's like, last year, he said they had 1 loss last year and made the playoffs. He's like, but they should have lost to Kansas State. They should have lost to TCU. They should have lost to Houston. He said there was a potential that they had a 4-loss season last year, and Sarkisian gets fired.
It's crazy, just the difference.
Yeah, he's like, we're jumping the gun a little bit. We haven't seen him consistently do this. He's like 10.5 wins. He's like, that's a lot. He said those 3 games, he's like, they could easily lose all 3 of them.
Yeah, so Sarkisian also did interviews where he said he likes to change up the offense a lot from year to year, which I get the reasoning why behind it, but we'll see. We'll see if Quinn Ewers can really take that step. But Quinn Ewers is a little bit older. He should be making those leaps this year. So,
yeah.
We'll say, I know we plan to come in here with free agency, but we're already in college football. So get to it right now. The college football game comes out in 19 days. And I also want to point out that one of my friends here in Kansas City, I was like, bro, it's 16 days for you. And he's like, dude, I can't wait. So going to be absolutely insane. Real quick, to answer the question, D. Rich, there are no divisions anymore in college. In some of these big conferences, they're doing away with that, unfortunately. So no East or West for the SEC going forward, which is a sad thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why Texas has got that easy cake schedule with at least 2 losses.
Yeah.
But they have the college football game that comes out in you could say 2 weeks-ish, 2.5 weeks. It's just going to be insane. But they had rankings come out this week for just the top 25. And for the record, if you didn't see your team there, there's a good chance that either offense, defense-wise, maybe they actually were ranked there, but they're tied and they just didn't make the cut, right? It was one of those teams that just absolutely stuck out to me, not having that. And I can't see it without the list in front of me. I'll have to pull it up real quick. But what were your thoughts, your initial thoughts, Tubby?
I mean, Georgia being top, at the top of most of these rankings, I think makes a lot of sense. Just because I think for the most part, most people are going to say right now Georgia's the best team. But the fact that some of these guys, they have.
Oh, the defense is what got me. Sorry.
The defensive side was the spot. I mean, there's a couple offenses like Clemson being in the top 10 in offense. I thought was kind of odd because you tell me, have they been a top 10 offense the last couple of years? Cade Klubnik is definitely underachieved last year. But it's just kind of like the defensive side got Colorado in the top 25. Blows my mind. You had one of the worst defenses last year. And did you really get better? Maybe a little bit, but did you get considerably better where people that's a top 25 defense?
Yeah, I don't think so. They have 40-something transfers, which is a typical thing in college football now. But I will say what was funny is I saw someone else breaking down this, and they said they didn't have a lot of turnover about Colorado and why their ranking was this high. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds like you don't know that area of college football. But that one on the defensive side, USC's defensive side one, I don't understand it. It's one of the worst defenses I've seen in quite a while. It's about as bad as OU's was at the end of Alex Grinch's tenure there. Georgia being up top, Ohio State, I was a little surprised because we don't know anything about the quarterback, really. We don't know a whole lot. How good is it actually going to be? So to me, it just has me thinking, well, how are they ranking it? Is it just because it used to be the big thing to get your overall rankings and any Madden or anything is awareness. You have awareness up much higher. Is that what we're seeing, for them, a bunch of their players, because they don't know that they actually should be? But I don't know, it's going to get into the game, the nitty gritty, you're going to see it. But what's a team that you think should be on there? Maybe Tennessee, who didn't make 25 on offense, and people are like, well, what the heck? Where are they at?
See, I get maybe Tennessee just because they're kind of in the same boat Oklahoma's in. Got a new quarterback coming in, but they also are replacing the running back on top of it and a couple other key positions on the offensive side. So I can understand them. Now we're talking all the rankings. The fact that Neyland Stadium isn't ranked in the top 5 when it comes to home field advantages, and they're 13th, blew my mind because it's one of the loudest stadiums in college football. It is one. I don't care how well they've been over the last 10 years. It's still one of the toughest places to play, and it's one of the loudest places to play. Even when they were bad, it was
true,
packed full, super loud. And the fact that they were ranked, 13th, I thought was crazy. But I think offensive-wise, we're going to hear this a lot this offseason, me talking about. I think Kansas was ranked low. I think Arizona was ranked low on offense. I mean, you still have Fafita coming, back, and you have McMillan, because they were both around the 20s, 15, 20 range or something like that, both those teams. And I think they're, offensive-wise better. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They sneakily have the best quarterback play, depth of quarterback out of any conference right now. You look from top to bottom, they have some really good, and there are a lot of these under-the-radar guys that I think a lot of maybe not, unless you're a college football nerd, you don't really know a whole lot of, because most of them are some of them are out west, and then you got people not really paying attention to Kansas or Iowa State, and some of these teams. They've got some really good quarterback play, and so I thought that Kansas and Arizona being ranked a little lower, I thought maybe they could have been higher. Like I said, I thought Clemson's offense was way too high. I haven't seen anything from that offense
at all. I don't understand if it's not explosive.
I think Texas's offense was ranked too high. I mean, you're sitting at a 90, I think, where they were overall.
Yeah.
What was it?
91 on offense. Sorry.
91. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you lost Worthy. You lost A.D. Mitchell. You lost Whittington. You lost Sanders. You lost Brooks. You lost your starting right tackle and your starting center. You lost a lot on that. Yeah, you were able to keep you got Quinn Ewers back, and Baxter, played really good at the end of the season last year. But you're replacing, realistically, your top 5 targets, and you get Isaiah Bond from Alabama. But
it's true.
Other than that, I mean, it's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns. I mean, the thing it just gets me was one USC Lincoln Riley 83, number 25, below people like Virginia Tech, who did have a good second half of the year, but OU same thing, ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State. I thought UCF being ranked as high as it was a little surprising to me because last year they were pretty one dimensional. Especially if they got behind. But another one that I really don't find fun is Notre Dame. I'm not gonna ever play as Notre Dame. It's so boring. The way they play, I just don't enjoy it. But they still 85. They're right there in the top 20.
Yeah, that is another interesting one. I mean, you get Riley Leonard, in from Duke, one of the big, quarterback transfers, but you lose Audric Estime, you lose a couple wide receivers. Yeah, you still have some younger guys, but really wide receiver wise, you're a lot of unprovens on that side, and you're always going to have a good offensive line. But yeah, that seems a little high for a team that wide receiver wise, not a whole lot there.
Yeah. We already talked about that one. So looking forward to the beginning of the college football season, which is, technically next month, as we're saying this right now. If you're listening to this, it's downloaded, or if you're watching this after Sunday, we're going to have to make a prediction for the playoff, right? We're going to have to start making our picks for who's going to make it. And I'm excited to see a playoff where you possibly get a Kansas, right? How many wins does it take to make it? I mean, you can look at previous rankings and see, hey, was there an 8-4 team that did sneak into a playoff that would have based off of rankings? And I think you're going to see some people really upset at the Big Ten and the SEC getting the benefit of the doubt. Like, well, they play like an 8-4 Oklahoma team or an 8-4, when they had the schedule, well, maybe they should get the benefit of the doubt if they're playing versus, an SMU, who I guess they are playing an ACC schedule, which is not very great now, but you're just going to start to see a little bit more of, well, we were 10-2. Why didn't we make it? Well, they played a much tougher. I mean, it's going to still have the same things that we used to always have with the BCS and with the 14 playoff, have it no matter what. So
yeah, you're still going to have people upset. I mean, last year, if say they started it last year, Oklahoma would have been upset. They would have been, we were the last team out. Yeah, so someone's going to be upset always. You're never going to make everyone happy, but yeah, it's going to be different because we ain't just picking 4 teams now. We're picking 12.
Yeah, it's a lot of teams. I know it's going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to it. I have no problem. Off the top of your head, how many wins does Dion and Colorado get this year?
5.
You think only 5?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to look up. Do you know their schedule?
Nope.
You're like, doesn't matter.
Honestly, I don't know if they did a whole lot. Yeah, they're going to the Big 12, and it may not be. It's not as tough as what the Pac-12 was last year. But we talked about this. I mean, quarterback play wise, they may be facing tougher quarterback, from top to bottom this year than they did last year, because you don't have, depending on who they play, throw in a Stanford or Arizona State, Cal. They may have to play, more legitimate quarterbacks, each day, each week. And on top of that, I don't think their defense is that good. I think their defense will be exactly where it was last year, maybe worse. Offensive line, they were able to get a few guys in there, but still, how well is that offensive line going to be is another big question. And when you lose that many guys, I mean, you are just basically, flip-flopping 40, 50 guys in and out. The last 2 years from the transfer portal, there's not a whole lot of continuity you can build up. And, well, I think they're going to struggle still. I don't think that he is going about it the right way. Yeah, you have to get the transfers, and you have to hit the transfer portal to stay alive, but you also have to hit the recruiting outside of that. And last year they were ranked in the 60s. with recruiting, and all they've been doing is just hitting the transfer portal, and they're not building those relationships outside of it to try to get these guys to stay and play 4 or 5 years.
Here's what I want to say is they did have the most transfers from their team this year, 41. Number 2, number 3 doesn't surprise anybody. Indiana and Michigan State definitely makes sense in the circumstances, and then Alabama had 39 as well, tied for second. So,
and you know what the thing is? Those 3 teams below them have in common?
What?
All new head coaches.
Yes, but not Coach Prime. I don't know. Okay, so real quick, here is their schedule. They have North Dakota State. That should be a win. I know they're good, but they are not in the dynasty that they had in Division 2.
But if there's a Division 2 team, typically that's not the one you want to play.
Very true. There are no South Dakota State Jackrabbits right now. They are the South Dakota State's that team right now. I'm just saying.
They're still top 10.
North Dakota State is Alabama. South Dakota State is Georgia. We'll put it that way.
Still a tough team to play.
Still a tough team. Yeah, but beatable. Then at Nebraska, I am worried about that one.
They lose that
Colorado
one.
State, at Colorado State. That's a rivalry game, so it's a toss-up. You never know.
Yeah.
Baylor, at UCF, K-State, at home, at Arizona, Cincinnati, at Tech, Utah, at Kansas, Oklahoma State, which, by the way, is already scheduled to be an 11 a.m. game.
So they play the toughest teams in the Big 12 this year.
Yes, they do. They don't get a bunch of the cakewalks.
Yeah, so 5 wins to me is about where I would see that, and that could be pushing it.
One,
we know going down to Lubbock, not easy. No matter who you are, going down to Lubbock is tough.
Yeah, 5 feels like a good number.
Yeah, I think that he is going about it the wrong way. He the way he's trying to build this team, and I get that team was so bad when he took it over. No wins, 1 win, whatever it was, and so you do have to, bring in your guys. But also the fact is that everyone was expecting him to come in and immediately recruit the high school kids and get these big 5-star. He gets 1 or 2 here and there,
Hunter,
but he doesn't get enough of them. I think that where they get maybe 7 or 8 total recruits, I think, or maybe 10 total recruits this year out of high school.
Yeah.
You're not building your team. You're hoping, okay, I'm going to grab a guy out of the portal. I'm going to grab this guy out of the portal. But most of the guys that they're grabbing are guys that, he was a backup at Indiana. He was a backup at, the smaller school. And hoping that maybe they can turn him into something. And so far last year, it did not work.
No, so far I don't look like I was correct on my hot take, but I still siding with Coach Prime here. I think Shadur Sanders. I think the Big 12 might have the best quarterbacks right now in college football.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some. Maybe not all NFL prospects, but college football, they have some really really great ones. So looking forward to it. We'll probably talk more about college football as we get closer. Just maybe some of those predictions. Who's going to win this conference? Who's going to win that conference? Obviously, talking a little bit about the game when it comes out. Oh, very excited. Sir. Yeah. I did not pay for I told you this. I didn't pay for the extra 3 days, and it worked out because I'm going to have to work those 3 days.
Yeah, see, I didn't pay for it either, so I'll be playing it. And see, Dad wanted the hard copy. He wanted the disc.
Really?
Yeah, and so he's like, it'll be here the 20th, so I have to wait an extra day too.
You know what? You can't just go like GameStop or something. Won't they have the hard copy?
Tell me where there's a GameStop.
I mean, I know where. I don't know anymore. They're gone.
Yeah. Most of around here. I couldn't tell you where a GameStop was.
Walmart would have had it, right?
Maybe, probably, but yeah, he ordered it off of Amazon, so it'll be here the 20th.
Dude, what happens? What happens if it gets lost in the mail? What happens if the delivery driver sees what it is? It's like, nope.
You better be really fun, and we run into Walmart.
Like on the 20th, does it have to be for you to run to Walmart?
I don't know.
We're open until 11, so you got a small window. Yeah. I love that idea. That I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna freak out. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, all right. Well, we can move on unless there's any other college football, college sports news that you have going on right now. I mean, we could Tennessee did get the College World Series championship in baseball finally. Tennessee's been on the uptick in quite a few sports lately. It was good to see them get the win just for the
I don't know. After watching them play, I didn't want them to win. And I hate Texas A&M. I'm not a Texas A&M guy, but I cannot stand that coach for Tennessee. That dude's obnoxious, and I was watching. I'm like, I can understand why a lot of these SEC teams cannot stand Tennessee and the coach. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, at least, would you rather have him as your coach or Texas A&M's guy that's like, I'm never leaving this school. See ya, going to Texas. Not only am I leaving this school, I'm going to your rival who's just rejoined the SEC. Like, come on, that's worse.
Yeah, no, I'd much rather have the Tennessee guy because at least I know he's loyal. But, yeah, the whole Schlossnagel thing, we'll hit this real quick just before. But, all the people on, like, the barstool college football, whenever Oklahoma fans were upset about Lincoln Riley leaving, and they're like, oh, trashing Oklahoma fans. Oh, they're just a bunch of crybabies. It's just a job, blah, blah, blah. Well, the girl on there, she is a Texas A&M alum. Well, she gets on there after Schlossnagel leaves and is like, you're a liar. Just, own up to it that you're leaving, blah, blah, blah. And all the OU fans were like, this is exactly what you guys have been ripping us for the last couple of years. And she's like, it's not that he left, but it's how he left. And it's like, that's exactly what we've been saying.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not leaving. See ya.
And I was like, how short memory is that they forget, but yet, this is terrible that he leaves this way. Is exactly what happened to Oklahoma.
And I do want to point out that outside of Texas, I mean, he would never have left for Oklahoma State, but like outside of Texas, USC is pretty much up there with the most hated teams in OU history. So,
yep.
So, all right. Well, we're going to continue on now. It is the NBA season has had the NBA draft, but they're also kicking off free agency. So we're going to start with the draft because, who knows? Maybe in the next 4 minutes, we're going to have some breaking news where Chris Paul just signed or something like that. I don't know. Let's get into the draft review from you, Tubby. I know you still leaned into it. You watched it. And by the way, NHL draft was at the Sphere. They had all this stuff there. It was pretty cool. So anyway, back to the NBA draft. What did you think?
So this year's draft, I put it up there with I think it was 2013 draft where Anthony Bennett went number 1, and it was the draft where really no one really knew who was going to be the top pick, and we were like, maybe it'll be Victor Oladipo, maybe it'll be Nerlens Noel, throwing these names out there. Well, the best player ends up getting taken 14 by the Bucks, and it was Giannis, and you had a couple guys at the back end. Rudy Gobert's in this draft, that draft and stuff. I think that's what we're going to see from this draft. And all those guys at the top, SARS and the other kid from France, I was not a big fan of either of them. That I don't think that they have that makeup. To me, the best player in the draft was Donovan Clingan from UConn. I think that he translates so much better to the NBA. He reminds me a lot of Derek Lively, the Mavs rookie center, where he's a really good passer, really good defender, really good rebounder, put a few more pounds on him. I think that he'd be a really good NBA center. And it's not a very good draft. Really, it's not. Then I think the teams at the end of the first round got a lot more value out of their picks than the teams in the top half. I think Kello Ware from Indiana, he was my sleeper in the draft. He's big, 6'11", 7 foot tall center who can shoot and is really, really good defender. He kind of has like a Jaren Jackson feel to him, but I think with a better shot and can be somewhat in that makeup. But have Dalton Connect falling to the Lakers at 19. It was a massive fall because of his age, which is insane. In this draft, I'll take the guy with the age that I know can come in and be a solid player right now over maybe the possibility I hit on a guy and maybe 5 years down the road he's good. The Isaiah Collier going to 29th in the first round. He was projected number 1 pick at the beginning of college basketball season. This was supposed to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Well, he had a rough year at USC and the shooting wise wasn't great, but I think there's a lot of potential there in him falling to the back end of the first round. I think it was the Timberwolves that ended up getting him. That's a big big
Jazz.
pickup. The Jazz. Yep. I think that's a great pickup for him. And then same with the champions. I think they got one of the best players in this draft towards the back end of the draft in Baylor Shireman. He's kind of a old school Wally Zerbiak type player. Does everything. Defense, shoots, just a hard nose, can pass. Yeah, too. He reminds me of a Wally Zerbiak type guy. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot with this draft I was excited about to see.
Yeah, well, I would like to throw this out there, but Isaiah Collier, people said he didn't have a great year. USC had a bad year overall. I mean, they really underperformed as a whole, but he's still averaged 16, 5, and 3. But shooting wise, 50% from the floor, and he was 34% from 3. His free throws, you really got to work. But you take that, especially the dude's 19 years old. The Thunder's pick of Nikola Topic, Serbian kid, born in 2005.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The worry about him is this is his second ACL injury.
Yeah,
so he's not going to play at all this year for the Thunder. He's going to rehab. That kind of worries me. 25. You're born in 2005. This is already your second ACL injury. That's a little bit of a worry for me. And he kind of reminds me a lot of Josh Giddey, which you just traded.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, is that what you needed? I thought they should have went with the guy that could shoot and could, play some defense, another 3-and-D. As long as you have SGA and you have Jalen Williams and you got a couple other guys that can handle the ball, get you as many shooters as you can and, put them around them. Or, maybe a guy that could get some rebounds and block some shots. Wasn't quite where they went, but yeah, it's just kind of it was one of those drafts where you're just like, we don't know who's going to be the best player, and you had 3 Frenchmen go in the top 10, which was the most foreign players in the top 10 of a draft.
It did seem like there's quite a few, but I think that's respect to Luka Doncic and Vucevic and Jokic and all these guys who have come in and had a lot of success over the last 10 years, or even more so recently. But everybody talks about all this, and everybody cares about it, but they don't care nearly as much as they care about the number 55 pick, who was also projected to go 55, oddly enough, Bronny James. Now, weird that he was projected to go there. I mean, do you see it? Do you see, late second round? Okay. Do you see potential to be at least a rotational player in the NBA? He's only 19.
As of right now, watching it, no. Watching him play right now, no. I don't see that. But you never know. There's a lot of these draft analysts that, say that he played out of position. He should have been playing point guard. He's a much better point guard than he is a shooting guard. Maybe that was it. Maybe he needed to be playing and having the ball in his hand more and being a facilitator. But what I saw him play, and from what I've seen, I don't see him being an NBA player. And yeah, why not? If it's a 5th pick, keep your star happy. If he wanted him on the team, I guess, What is it going to hurt taking him 55 when, or just letting him slide and go, oh, well, we're not going to draft you at all. We'll just sign you. Go ahead, take him 55th. Let him live out his dream, because the odds of you hitting something at 55 are very, very slim. So why not just, let's take a swing at it. And people, are like, oh, it's, nepotism. Well, we see nepotism throughout the NBA. We see it. Look at the Bucks. You have 2.
No one complained about that. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, you signed Donis Antetokounmpo, and the dude is bad. I mean, let's just honestly, he is bad. And so you can't really talk about that. The only thing that got me was saying, well, I worked my way and got myself here by myself. I'm like,
I don't know about that.
You worked your butt off, and you were able to get yourself at least on the radar. But let's not say you got there yourself, because there's a big reason you got there is because of your last name.
And here's the thing. So literally right after the draft, the next big news for the Lakers was the fact that LeBron James has agreed to take a more team-friendly deal as he goes. Okay, so he's like, hey, thank you guys so much. Here's this in return. That just makes sense. That's fine. I take it. I don't know how many NBA players I've seen with that college profile or G League profile now, because you can have that, or different European league or Australian league where they have that profile stat wise, skill wise, and get drafted. Some of them do, but they're always super young. He's obviously super young, so maybe it works out. But that obviously, I mean, are you going to get a jersey number 9?
No.
Oh, come on, man, you got to. Bronny James.
Yeah, no.
What does Bronny call LeBron on the team?
Does he say dad?
That's what I'm asking. Does he?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. The one thing that I didn't like about how they handled things was them saying, "All right, you take him. He's going to play in Australia." I thought that was kind of ridiculous, because if you want to be in the NBA and there's someone willing to take you, then why should you be mad about it? Why shouldn't you allow them to take you? You say you want to build yourself, build a name for yourself, but yet you're having your agent saying, "No, you take him before the 55, he won't play for you. He'll go play in Australia." How's that building your own legacy? You're living off your dad's legacy at that point. So for them to do that, I get you want to go play with your dad and all that, but if there's a team, a little bit higher that wants to take you, why should you be upset that they want to take you?
Yeah, I hear you. Here's the question: Does LeBron stay in the league long enough to where he gets to play with Bryce as well?
Probably not.
Bryce graduates high school next year. Of 1 year, and then he can play.
Maybe
it's what, 2 years, 2.5 years.
And I think it's crazy that he's not getting as much hype as Bronny. I think he's better than Bronny.
I think he's better than Bronny too. That's what I always thought. But he's only a 3-star recruit right now.
Yeah, I mean, shooting wise, that kid can shoot.
Yeah,
he's a much better shooter than Bronny is, and much better shooter than LeBron was at probably that point, especially from deep.
I was trying to find where you could find. It's so hard to find college or high school stats.
Yeah,
but he has gone to. He got 2 offers so far. Ohio State was one of them. USC, he is on his list, and that is definitely where he's going to go.
Maybe.
Well, it says the right now is cool, and they technically haven't offered. But come on,
you got new coaching staff, and Bronny was going to probably potentially leave USC.
Okay, we'll see.
They weren't happy with the way things went there.
Yeah. So we'll see. No crystal ball prediction yet for Bryce, but I do think he's more talented. So, all right, it is NBA free agency period. Looking into that right now, we already have one deal that's done. James Harden just got 2 years, $70 million. I need you to grade this.
F.
Okay, why is it an F?
What has he done over the last 3 or 4 years to him to be able to get $35 million? Yeah, he's played decent. He's played solid, whatever. But he hasn't played at the MVP level that he played at, before.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't help the Clippers in the playoffs this year.
He let me just throw this out there for James Harden. This is, I think, a D would be at best, but for $35 million is absolutely outrageous. Fewest points per game since he was with Oklahoma City Thunder, which, let me remind you, everybody, 12 years ago. Fewest free throw attempts per game, which was one of his calling cards since his second year in the league in 2010. So this is before he left Oklahoma City. His shooting percentage has stayed pretty steady, but it's gone down since the peak, of course. But it's not like this guy was only like, oh yeah, James, his fewest assists in 5 years, I think is what it was. No, even more than that, 2019. So it's before the pandemic, like well before the pandemic. It's not like he was playing 20 minutes a game. The dude was still playing 34 minutes a game, and you saw the decline. We've seen the effort not there. This is an F. This is a terrible. This is the Clippers scared that they're going to lose Paul George, like all these people, and this is what I'm going to tell the people. This is what bad teams do. They didn't win when they should.
Yeah, this is what you want to bring into your new arena when it opens.
Yeah,
this is the type of ball you want to bring. You want to start with, because the way it's sounding like right now, that there's a good chance that Paul George ends up in Philadelphia. From what I was reading beforehand, that things were at first he was like, no, I ain't going to Philadelphia. I don't like the way things are being ran there. And now it's kind of like, wait a second, maybe I'll change my mind and go there. Yeah, he's a good ball player. Injuries are a big concern with Paul George. So how big of a hit that is for them, it hurts definitely. But yeah, the peak of that team, or the potential of that team, is gone and passed away because Kawhi Leonard, he said he's always injured. Got an aging, declining James Harden.
Russ.
Don't sound like, I think Russ is about to get traded, is what it sounds like. So you're restarting everything. So where do you go from here? Do you try to make a trade? You don't have really any picks right now because you traded them all. So which direction do you go? Do you just try to if I was them, I wouldn't have re-signed them. I would have just kind of hit the reset button and said, all right, who wants Kawhi Leonard?
No, I think you're 100% right because of the picks, because of all the stuff that you just said. Which one is the bigger miss for the Clippers? I don't know if they have a real legitimate fan base. Not really doing anything with DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, like that crew, or not doing anything with PG3, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Russell, like this crew. Like, which one is the bigger miss? Maybe you can even consider like what window was open. Like, who would they have been facing? Which one? The West was much better back then with Chris Paul and the Clippers than this version now.
Yeah, I'll still say Chris Paul, Blake Griffin,
I would agree.
DeAndre Jordan, because they had Blake Griffin, they had DeAndre Jordan in their prime. Paul George and Kawhi, they were still close to their prime, but they were older, aging. James Harden isn't the same James Harden he was 4 or 5 years ago. Russ isn't the same player he was 4 or 5 years ago. So it's kind of, and then on top of that, Kawhi was coming off an injury. We knew the injury history with Kawhi. We knew the injury history with Paul George, and it's just kind of, it's been a lot of disappointment for them. But I didn't see the same expectation for that team that I did with Chris Paul, who was the best point guard in the league at the time, and Blake Griffin, who was one of the top power forwards, and DeAndre Jordan, who was one of the top centers at the time. You had a JJ Redick, who was one of the better shooters. You had a pretty solid collection of players there. You just weren't able to win it, and I think that team had more potential than what this team they built there. But still, if I was them, I'm not re-signing James Harden. I'm getting whatever I can get for Kawhi Leonard, pick-wise. Same thing with Terrence Mann. Get rid of as much as you can, get picks, and maybe you can get the number 1 pick and get Cooper Flagg next year.
That's not bad. That's what even with this pick, this is such a bad trade. I don't see that they're making that, but they should at some point, maybe by the deadline, that they have to think through, okay, this is not going to work. This is not a team that you look and say, this is a deep playoff run team. It's just not.
No. And they lost in the first round.
Yeah, and it definitely looks like they also lost that trade to get Paul George. Absolutely wild.
Absolutely.
Crazy things.
Yeah.
One of the best GMs in the business, for sure.
Yeah. They lost big on that one.
Yeah. All right, so let me throw this out there. Not really a huge thing with free agency, but I saw this and I just had to ask you, have you looked at the domino effect if Ray Allen misses that shot?
No.
So we were talking about championship windows, and that's what made me think about it. So if Ray Allen misses, Tim Duncan would be 6-0 in the finals.
Oh, wow.
Right? Okay, I've never really thought about this. LeBron James would have been a 2-7 finals record. 2-7. Dwayne Wade finishes with only 2 rings instead of the 3. I think it's 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The big 3 go 1-3 in the finals. And the one that they had, it very well could have been down 2-0, or the Thunder, that game.
Yeah.
So anyway. Greg Popovich gets his 6th ring. That was obviously one of them. And Kawhi Leonard would have another ring on his resume.
And probably another finals MVP.
I'm just saying that Ray Allen, LeBron needs to thank Ray Allen for the rest of his 2-7. 3-6 is not good. 2-7 is really bad.
Yeah, and at that point, wouldn't it would have been like what, 1-4 or at that
it
point?
1-5 at that point.
1-4. Yeah. Oh, weird. Yeah, that would have been wild.
But again, thinking through Tim Duncan 6-0, It's wild.
That would have definitely changed a lot of things because you only other person that has done that. There's only a couple people. Well, that's Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just sad to see a little bit. All right, let's get into some of the other free agencies that are out there. Who is the number one free agent? There's a couple different lists that have different free agents that they would rank higher. Sometimes it's based off age. Sometimes it's based off of expected salary. But these guys are about to get paid.
I mean, right now, I imagine people, well, since LeBron opted out, LeBron's probably considered the number one. I think Paul George is up there, Yeah, with some of them. Trying to think who else is out there, big name wise. I know Klay Thompson's out there, but he's not the same type of player. He might be.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's even entertaining the Warriors.
No, he pretty much. They said it's done. It's between the Mavs. What is it? The Mavs, Lakers, Clippers, 76ers.
Don't go to the Clippers, bro. Yeah, I think he likes LA. Go there.
Yeah, he said he was willing to take a pay cut to go to either of the LA teams. I'm like,
he loves California. He's a California kid, man.
So yeah, but I'm like, you'd rather go to one of those two teams where you have a less chance of, fighting for a championship than you probably would at either of the other places.
Oh yeah, Mavericks for sure.
Yeah, I was honestly, I don't mind Klay Thompson as a Mav if that's what happens because they do need defense and they need a 3-point shooter, but he's not the same Klay Thompson. I was wanting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think that he's a better version of what Klay Thompson gives you right now. Maybe not as high profile as scoring wise, but we know the guy can knock down threes. We know his defensive rating is much better than what Klay Thompson gives out right now. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Mavs need. They don't need another big name guy that is going to come in and, maybe throw a hissy fit if he doesn't get the ball or whatever. We know Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He'll take his, spot in the, mediocre, whatever you want to call it, just not the big names. And he's won a championship. He did it a few years ago with the Nuggets. So I thought that would have been the move, but I think he just signed with the Magic right before we got on.
Double check.
But yeah, I was hoping for that move. I would much rather see them maybe try to trade for a guy. The Magic, I'm pretty sure the KCP just signed with the Magic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And if he did, go out there, try to trade for Jonathan Isaac. Okay. I'm a big Jonathan Isaac guy. Injury history does concern me, but he played 58 games last year, the most he's played in several years. Shot 47% from 3-point. He had one of the highest, he had the highest defensive efficiency rating in the NBA last year. He's now expendable. If you're the Magic, you went out and signed KCP from the Mavs. I'm calling him up and going, hey, what do we got to do to get Jonathan Isaac in a Mavs uniform?
One of the top 10 that I've seen pop up that I was kind of surprised by was Isaiah Hartenstein from the Knicks.
Yeah.
He's not one of those guys that you're seeing put up massive numbers, but he's just a very influential player on the game, which the Knicks have had a good rise. DeMar DeRozan, LeBron, Paul George, those are some of the three. Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, he's going to get signed. There's no way they let Tyrese Maxey.
Just saying. He's technically a free agent.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent, so they'll be able to match whatever they want. But yeah, if they let him go, that team's fire everyone, because he's the best player on that team.
Trust better than process.
Yeah, he better than Joel Embiid because you know why? He stays on the floor.
He does, absolutely. Yeah, Alejandro in the chat just said, "Bring LeBron back to the Cavs." I love the idea. We just drafted my son Bronny. I'm out. I don't want the kid. That was so fun. But yeah, the Cavs. It could be great. Any other? Buddy Hield is free agent again. I think this guy has a long career for a guy that coming into the NBA out of college with Oklahoma and was not an underclassman. This kid had been in the college for a little while. He has stuck it through, and with this contract, he should be able to say he made over $100 million in the NBA. Good for him.
Yeah, and one thing he can say is that he is the fastest player ever to 1,000 three-pointers in NBA history.
Just take that, Steph Clay.
Yeah. What now, Steph Curry?
Yeah. Who else? Yeah. Some of the other ones, it's more of like role players. I mean, I don't think this is not like one of those jaw-dropping agency periods, but you're going to see quite a bit. Chris Paul, what do you think he ends up? I mean, big name. The guy's been in the league since 2008, 2006, 2005, something like that.
I've seen the rumors about the Spurs. He ended up in the Spurs, which might be
at some point, man.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you want to do that, with the young team that you have, I will say they were one of the teams that disappointed me the most in the draft. The Spurs. I like what they did the first pick. Then they turn around and take Rob Dillingham, and I was like, oh man, they're really building something here. And they turned around and traded him for a first round pick in 30-30 and 30-31. Like, what are we doing?
7 years. 7 years.
You might not even have Wemby at that time.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if you don't do something now, that kid may go, I don't want to stay here no more.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because I think Dillingham was one of those guys that I think got a little slept on a little bit. And we have seen Kentucky guards play a lot better in the NBA than they did in college. And that was one of them that I thought very well could do the same thing. And we'll see. They may end up regretting that one. But, yeah, I don't know. I've seen that. I think a guy that's probably not getting enough praise, and he's kind of like one of those middle tier, like bottom tier guys that could be a big factor. And it's a guy like Najee Marshall, played with the Pelicans, we've seen it in today's day in the NBA. D3 guys are maybe the most important players in the NBA. The way that they can shoot and spread the court, but really defend. And he was one of those guys that he kind of got lost in the shuffle with Zion and Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, and he kind of got shuffled back. But when they needed him, the kid shot about 40% from three and was one of the better defensive efficiency guys in the NBA for the minimum amount of minutes he played. So I think that's another guy that maybe some of these contending teams that need a stretch wing guy that can shoot and that can play some defense, he could be a guy you get for decently cheap and be an impact in maybe a push for a championship.
Yeah. So I have one more player, and then we're going to move on to some baseball news. What do you think about Zach Edey in the NBA? Do you think he can change a little bit?
So I had worries, beforehand, before like the combine, like can he defend in the NBA with how big he is? I saw a guy watching the NBA combine that was a lot more agile than I thought. So it gave me a little bit more hope, and thought, well, maybe this kid can actually make it in the NBA. And because honestly, there's not really too many guys in the NBA that can guard him with his back to the basket. There's just not. The guy's 7'6" or 7'4", whatever he is, and weighs 300 pounds. There's not really anyone in today's NBA that can body him besides maybe a Joel Embiid, size wise. And so I think there he has an advantage on a lot of guys. And if he is able to play, be able to be mobile enough on defense, we know he can rebound. We know he can score with his back to the basket. But I think one thing that surprised a lot of people at the NBA Combine was he was actually able to knock down some threes. And at a decent clip, too. It wasn't like, 1 for 25. No, it was, 4 or 5, here and there. And people were like, wait a second. Maybe he's a little bit better of a shooter than we thought he was. So I think there's a lot of hope now that maybe we can start seeing some of these guys that are more typical back to the basket guys get a better chance at the NBA because, me, I'm all for the big guys, post up and, punishing in the paint. Maybe he's the turning point where we start seeing teams look at a guy like this and go, man, we could have a big mismatch.
Yeah.
When we need a bucket in the paint. There's not a whole lot of guys that can, guard him.
Yeah, well, and DeAndre Ayton, when he came out, was pretty good. He was back to the basket guy, 7 foot 250. So he has 50 pounds and 4 inches on this guy who's already big. So Zach Edey, I think Memphis needs to change its game to be not its game, but its mindset to be that Zach Randolph period, where it was we know we're small market, but we're gonna dominate the paint. We're gonna just absolutely do it, man. I miss those days.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, lots of options. We'll keep it going a little bit here with the NBA as we're in that time of year where we're about to hit the All-Star break with baseball. We're about to hit training camp or camps, all that kind of stuff happening for some of these schools as the schools, football practice can start back up as well as the NFL. So we'll keep all that here in the podcast. So make sure you keep tuning in every single week. But we are at the halfway mark officially with games played in Major League Baseball, and you look at it right now. There are a couple teams that have 50 wins. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're projected for 100, but I would say if you have 50 wins at this point, you're probably in that 95-plus win range, which is what most teams are trying to get to make the playoffs, have a shot at making, a division championship. So we got Milwaukee, Philadelphia, the Dodgers, of course, Baltimore, and the New York Yankees in the same division. Cleveland Guardians absolutely destroying people. This offense is really, really good. And then the Mariners, Twins, Royals all have 47 wins. They'd all be the next closest. So those teams seem like they're in the driver's seat, but most of those are AL teams. Any of these, and we've talked about surprises, obviously the Guardians at 52-30. Nobody saw this. This is a team that we didn't think was going to score 700 goals this year probably. They're at 407 already.
Yeah, absolutely shocking how well the offense has played. Yeah, we talked about that, and we're like, the pitching will be there, the offense won't be there. Well, it's kind of been the vice versa. The bullpen for them has been, what we expected. The starting rotation's been a little, a little shaky compared to normal for them. But this offense, Stephen Kwan is just on fire. I get the Naylor brothers mixed up, but
they have Josh Naylor.
Well, they have Bo Naylor also.
They do have Bo Naylor too, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Josh Naylor is the one that's offense has been, just incredible output. We know about J-Ram. We know he's gonna, what he's gonna do. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected this offense to be what it is. And yeah, they are definitely, I think, a legitimate threat in that AL right now.
Stephen Kwan has a slugging percentage of .535. So for people who don't know that, 500 is a really good slugging percentage for a season. That's where he's at so far. I'm going to pull up two players, and I'm going to tell you what they are. And two of them have been perennial MVP candidates, and one is actually won an MVP. You probably already know who I'm going to talk about. Let me pull it up real quick. Slugging percentage for this player is at 361, and the other one is at 378. Can you name those two players? That's all I'm giving you.
Wow.
One won the MVP 2 years ago. The other one finished third in the NL.
NL.
Same team.
So is it Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman? No,
their slugging percentage is solid. You don't have to worry about that.
I was gonna say, I was like, it seems a little low.
Yeah, no, they have terrible slugging percentage.
I don't know who it is. Oh, Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Yeah, Goldie's got a slugging percentage at 361 and an on-base percentage at 294 this point in the year, and he's still batting third. I don't know why. I don't even know why. I mean, they got to trade the guy. I think they got to trade him, and they got to trade Arenado right now. And Arenado has a 378 and is batting sixth, which is weird. So, sorry, that was my
yeah.
Outslugging both those guys. Almost combined.
Yeah.
So, we didn't see this coming. A team that so far you're like, man, they're just not good. They're not good, and I expected them to be good or better at least than this, competitive. Obviously not the White Sox or the A's and the Angels, but there are some teams here. I think Rangers. I'm going to put the Rangers out there, the Tigers, the Jays, the Rays, Diamondbacks, and Cubs.
I'm going to say the Diamondbacks. I expected more from the Diamondbacks out of, I think, all these teams. I wasn't as big on the Rangers this year just because I thought there was going to be some hiccups with pitching, which the offense has really been the big problem compared to what they did last year. Considerably one of the bottom, I think their bottom 10 offense right now in all of baseball in most, statistical categories. But I didn't expect that. I thought maybe the pitching would be the big problem before All-Star break, before everyone got back. But I expected more from the Diamondbacks to really push the Dodgers in the West and give the Dodgers a run, for that NL West title. And we've kind of seen it. I mean, Corbin Carroll's numbers have ticked up a slight amount, in June. His batting average went up 20 points, which, is okay, but he's definitely underperformed. I still think the injury, there's something wrong there. And just really as a whole, I mean, Jordan Montgomery hasn't been super great for them. And whether or not has to do with the not so normal start because of free agency for him. But yeah, this is a team I expected a lot more from, and maybe have a chance at pushing for another NL pennant.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be the Cubs. Everyone thought the Cubs were going to be the team that should be the Brewers right now. Maybe not 50-34, but at this point right now, they should be in the lead, and instead they're in last in the division by a half game behind the Reds, and it's just surprising. Like, Cody Bellinger is a little bit like Cody Bellinger again. He's a little better than what we saw a couple of years, but he's definitely not as good as last year. And he signed a very short contract. I think the other one has got to be the Giants. This is a team that has just missed. They keep, dude, and it is just, as a fan base, you have to be happy that they're trying, but it's almost like they're going after the players that are not the top shelf stuff. They're going after that tier or two below, and they're missing on that, and that is what's putting them 3 games under 500, which is better than to be expected. But guys like Logan Webb aren't going to be like this forever.
Yeah. I mean, Blake Snell's been an absolute miss.
Yeah.
Blake Snell has been awful, and I gave him the pass at the beginning of the year because of kind of the same thing with Montgomery, the slow start in spring because of the free agency. But man, Blake Snell has been awful, and even whenever he does his little rehab starts down in the minor league, he is getting rocked. Yeah. And so this was my main worry for Blake Snell. Whenever there's talking like at the end of last year, and they're like, "Oh, Dodgers going to go after Blake Snell." As a Dodgers fan, I was like, "That's the one pitcher out there that I don't want him to go for," because I thought a lot of it was going to be a contract year is the reason why he pitched so great last year. And it's kind of looking like that.
It's looking like that, 100%. Same, yeah. And it's weird. Why can't you pretend like every year is a contract year? If mentally that's what it is, then do it. Become one of the greatest of all time, and you say, every year I was playing for my contract. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, why do you change that mentality just because you got paid? You go, well, I don't got to try now. And he didn't really get paid like we thought he was going to get paid.
Yeah, take that, Scott. You're fired.
Yeah. I don't know how he still has as many clients as he has with the way he has handled these free agents these last couple of years.
I think, I think this is a big lesson learned. I hope this year for what he did, and there's still quite a bit of time before now in the trade deadline. We have a month, so we're going to see what happens here. But more confidence in this division winner to pull it all the way through the season. The Seattle Mariners, who are up in the division by 3.5 games because the Astros are coming on quick. We tried to write them off, and here they are, being the Astros and continuing to just compete. And they have a plus 33 run differential, while the Mariners have a plus 6, which is crazy. But they have been no slouches recently either. Confidence in either one of those teams to win the division.
I'm gonna stick with the Mariners. I picked the Mariners at the beginning of the season. I think their starting pitching has really came on lately. It was kind of slow at the beginning of the year, but that division had been pretty blah to start the season, so it was easy for them to sustain it. But I think their starting pitching has really started. I mean, Kirby has looked really good, and Castillo has looked like Castillo for the most part. Logan Gilbert has looked really good. So they have the starting pitching there. They got to find some other offense. They've got to get some offense going. They need Julio to really kind of take his game up another notch, too, because he's kind of been a little disappointment. He's been about what he normally has hit, but I think everyone was expecting him to maybe elevate his game, this year, and it hasn't quite really elevated. It's just kind of stayed right where it's been. So they need him to elevate his game, and they need to. For them, they got to find some type of offense somewhere.
Yeah, And maybe the deadline is where they do that.
Yeah.
One guy who we don't think will have a deadline trade anymore is Pete Alonso, as the Mets have had a great month. So, I mean, Mets and Astros right now have been two hottest teams, I would say, recently, just to get back into the race of where they're at.
Hey, don't count out what the Nationals have done.
That's true. I just don't buy it yet.
I don't either. But I mean, watch out. Watch out for the Nationals. I mean, James Wood will make his major league debut tomorrow. To me, I think he's been the best prospect in baseball this year, outside of the injury, the about a week or so long injury that he had. But the kid has just been absolutely on fire. Jake Irving has been a pitcher that I don't think a whole lot of people really know about. But go look him up. Go look what he's done over the last month and a half. The guy has been out. I mean, lights out, like, sub 2 ERA over the last month and a half. They got some pieces there, and for them to be 3 or 4 games below 500 right now with that young of a team, I think it says a lot for what they were able to do right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, this time last year at the halfway mark, let me tell you who the division winners are and what's so weird about baseball, because it's literally been one calendar year. The leader in the NL Central, name it.
Last year it was Brewers, wasn't it?
Right now, by a game lead at this moment, was the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, okay. When they went on their 19, when they went on their 12, 13 game win streak.
Mm-hmm. And we were like, well, the All-Star break came at the worst time for them.
Yeah.
Number one was the Braves. The Phillies were 5 games over 500. The Marlins were second in their division. Just wild. The Diamondbacks were first, a 2-game lead over the Dodgers. Tampa Bay Rays, number 1. Yankees were third, and still had a good record. The Twins were under 500, led the division.
Yeah.
And then the Texas Rangers were outpacing in a pretty good margin, but 4 games, but doing a pretty good job. So at that point last year, we had 2 teams that had 50 wins. That was it compared to this year. And
all the races were a lot closer within the division. This year, not so much.
Yeah, not so much this year. All right. Well, so the Cardinals just finished a 4-game set with the Brewers, or not the Brewers, the Reds. It's an epitome of their season right now. The Cardinals are in the playoff hunt, which is weird at a -40 run difference. They just outscored, 20-11, and split the series 2-2. They won 2-0 and 1-0.
Oh, man.
So they've gotten really good at one-run games, at really close games. That's just been the norm. The Baltimore was on Saturday Baseball last night, or Saturday Baseball on Fox, which I was watching the game. It's a really good game against the Rangers. I didn't realize that this weekend was when Craig Kimbrell finally got his first 1-run save. And before this, he was, I think, 0-4 or 0-5, and now he has 2. They're going to be in the market.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they thought there, thinking that would be the replacement. I'm surprised they didn't go with Cano as the replacement.
I agree.
But yeah, we have seen the Craig Kimbrell fiasco over the last couple of years, and for teams to think, oh, he'll be fine.
Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
I think based off cumulative
career, yeah.
And he was the best at his position. They were throwing that out there pretty automatic yesterday.
I mean, it's definitely. I don't think he'll be first ballot, but I think he'll definitely get in because career-wise, I mean, like you said, at one point he was the most dominant closer in baseball. So he definitely will get in, but I don't think it's just like automatic. Oh, well, he retired. He's now a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: just off the top of your head, who do you think is happiest to see the calendar flip to the second half of the season? Like, fresh start, gonna go run with it. Corbin Carroll, Blake Snell, or Randy Arozarena?
I'm gonna go with Arozarena because I think he gets traded, and maybe it'll kind of like rejuvenate him.
Yeah,
and he'll see some. Yeah, he'll see an uptick in his play because really, like he doesn't seem like he's got that fire that he normally plays with. He seems like he's kind of meh. And I don't know if it's just the situation. I mean, I could see Tampa Bay doing that to you, having to play in that stadium all the time. I'd be a little depressed too.
Oh yeah.
So, I think there's a good chance he gets traded. Someone will trade for him, especially someone, a division leader that needs outfielders and thinks that they can, fix something and him get hot. Maybe like a team like the Dodgers
or the Atlanta,
or Atlanta. I mean, there's every team needs outfielders, really.
It's true. It's weird.
Yeah.
All right, more surprising season so far: Ozuna, Jerickson Profile, Carlos Correa. I'm going to say Correa, not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know if he's absolutely tore it up. I think Profar you could throw him up there, but I mean, the guy. Yeah, I mean, but Correa, what is he batting? 312 last time I saw it. It may be lower now, but I mean, he was in the 300s for most of the season, hitting like.
He's at 3.
I saw someone pick him up on our fantasy team league, and I'm like, man, why is people picking him up? And I went and looked at his numbers. I was like, whoa. Yeah. What's going on there?
I'm done with fantasy baseball already. My team is terrible. I'm done. Yeah. Dude. It's so frustrating. All right. So then let me ask you this. Better rookie, Shota Imanaga, Colton Cowser, Cherry Jones. I'm going to throw Paul Skeens in there.
Yeah. I mean, Skeens is absolutely right now, I think, the front runner for the rookie of the year. I think Cherry Jones, though, is the most surprising because this is a name really no one heard of going into the season. And now you're looking at it, if you're a Pirates fan, going, man, we got our 1-2 starters for the next, how many years? They're both controllable for many years. And now we've got our 2 aces potentially right there looking at them. Now, if we can get the rest of these guys to kind of make their presence known, they haven't quite got the other younger players that we thought maybe could have big seasons this year have those seasons. And so, yeah, I mean, Paul Skeens has been everything everyone thought and more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm pleasantly surprised and enjoying it. Let me ask you, I will say that, but the Cardinals are about to go play the Pirates, so hopefully we won't face them again. And then, we talked about slugging percentage earlier. This is the last thing real quick that I have. Aaron Judge, I'm just upset at 2020 for robbing us of him that year, and also upset for some injuries early on in his career because I think this guy, had he had a full career, could have hit 550, 600 home runs. He's slugging right now 700 plus.
Yeah.
It's just absurd. 31 home. He's put up a full season number for almost every other baseball player. 31 home runs, 82 RBIs. He already has 65 runs. This is insane. The year that he hit 82 home runs, he had a 686 slugging percentage. He's above that.
And think about the start he had at the beginning of the year.
That's true.
Everyone was looking at him going, man, what's going on with Aaron Judge? And then in the last 2 months, we're like, there's Aaron Judge. That's who we're waiting for to show up. And yeah, the guy is amazing. When he's healthy, he's right there with Shohei, who's the most exciting players to watch play baseball because you're going to see something spectacular. Either he's going to just absolutely blast one out of the stadium, or he's going to show off that extremely strong arm that he doesn't quite get the credit for. And you watch the guy play, and he is a really good defender. He has one of the strongest arms in baseball from the outfield. So he's a very exciting
video game player is what he is. He is Shohei Ohtani. Now, Shohei Ohtani and him, they both are about the same in runs. Aaron Judge has 2 more doubles. Home runs, he has 5 more. He has 20 more RBIs. He's walked more. He struck out a little bit more. I look at this, and this tells me, stop hitting Shohei Ohtani first.
Oh, no, I'm okay with it. Have you not seen the numbers since Shohei's been hitting first?
I know 62 RBIs is disrespectful for this guy's
skill. He was batting second for the most part of the season.
At 3rd or 4th every single time.
No, I'm okay with him batting first because the dude's just been on an absolute tear since. Go look at the numbers since Mookie Betts got hurt and what Shohei Ohtani has done since then. Batting leadoff, I'm okay with it. Honestly, I don't know if Mookie gets that leadoff spot back. And same thing, I think Mookie will probably end up hitting 3rd because Freeman has stepped up his game the last few weeks with Mookie Betts out. batting second again like he did last year. So I think Mookie may end up batting third once he comes back from the injury.
Yeah, he is batting 364, 500 OBP, a slugging percentage above 900.
Yeah.
We're all batting first right now with 7 home runs, 16 RBIs. I just think you got to get more people. Like, you got to have people on base for him. He wasn't playing. He was hitting 314 with the slugging over 600. That's great.
Yeah, but what's the difference in him hitting second and him hitting first? I mean, there's not a whole lot there. I mean,
RBIs.
Who else are you going to put there, though? I mean, like I said, at this point right now, who are you going to hit first?
I hear you. Okay, I get it. I'm just it breaks my heart seeing these power hitters, the best hitters in the game, hitting first. The Cubs started with Anthony Rizzo, and it just like, man, you're gonna have 60 home runs with 100 RBIs, and it's like, yeah, but that number, you want to put up crooked numbers.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
and it's so much harder to do when you have guys like the Cardinals do, like Michael Ciani, who's 217 or 186, and you're Nolan Gorman.
But it's hard to argue not putting the guy there when he's hitting 360 right now.
Okay, fine, whatever. I'm not arguing with that part of it. I just so. All right, guys, we have gone 10 minutes longer than normal today, but it was a full, fun episode. We got a lot of video games in there, some NBA talk. So we appreciate every single one of y'all joining us for today's podcast, jumping in the chat. It was a lot of fun today. So we're going to get back at it. We're going to study for the next week's episode of the podcast. Tubby, thank you so much for bringing it, repping the W Sports Podcast, because everybody knows you just got to listen. Yeah, there he is. He's got the T-shirt on. We need to get some hats made. What we need next. But make sure you share this episode with someone who needs a good sports podcast to listen to. They just want to have a good sports conversation. They can join the chat every single week. Till then, we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
See ya.